You going? There we go.
Hello and welcome to the Halos in the Infield podcast. I am Vince, the Angels Cowboy. With me is the Lone Star Halo himself, Fernando, and we are back. We are a week away from from opening day, but spring training is almost over. But man, those are my two favorite words. Baseball's back, and we're going to talk more about it. We're going to talk about Angel spring training, WBC, and you recognize us? Yes, we got hot takes coming in super scorching hot, just like the weather, coming up right after this.
You are watching the Halos in the Infield podcast. From everything Halos to full series recaps to upcoming series projections for the fans by the fans. Enjoy the show.
Hey, howdy, hey, and welcome to this week's, really the first week's Halos in the Infield podcast. That is Vince, the Angels Cowboy. I am Fernando, the Lone Star Halo. Welcome back. We are back at it like a crack addict. Year 2, your boys are back. We are here to talk Angels baseball. We're here to give hot takes. We're here to do everything. We're here to have a good time, guys. We're here to talk Angels baseball. Why are we the Halos in the Infield podcast? Well, we decided, you know what? It's better to just have everything under the Halos in the Infield umbrella, right? That's what we are. We are Halos in the Infield, and we're going to stick to that. But rest assured, when you see Vince and I on the screen, there will be hot takes galore. Get ready, because it's going to be a fun year of hot takes. Vince had a little bit of a heater to start the year. This one was Vince. I was feeling another one. He's like, you know what? I love that hot take, but we're going to hold off on it because we got to do a team-based one. And he was right. You know, we're kicking it off, having to talk about the overall team. And speaking of the team, Vince, let's talk spring training. We are a week away from opening day. So, of course, spring training is coming to an end. The Angels and the Dodgers are both about to head to Southern California to do the traditional freeway series in spring training. Does it matter? No. Do I still want to beat those Smurfs? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, at the end of spring training, of course, the tradition. A lot of people look forward to it, especially in Southern California. I think the reason why is because it's the cheapest ticket for that series. So people take advantage of it, and it makes total sense. But it also is, you get a taste of two things. One, the real team, like when they start, how do you expect them, especially after a month? And number two, the young guys. What do you expect from them? Are they talented enough? Are they consistent enough to get to the major league level? I think that, based off spring training, from what I have heard, I can't say seen because we know for obvious reasons why, but I've been keeping track and hearing about each player, some side like footage, as you could say, from some spring training games. This, I believe, coming into the season, is the year of the youngsters. There's a lot of young talent that we have in the minor leagues right now. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about we don't have the best farm system. Everyone knows that. All 30 teams know we're not the best in farm system wise. However, if the development is better, hopefully, from last season to this season, things could change. There's been a lot of changes so far. Two names that kind of stood out to me on guys that got sent down. Am I a fan of? Yes and no. Who are those two names? It's Christian Moore and Kyron Paris. It hurt me just a little bit, especially Christian Moore, because Christian Moore, you and I, is probably one of our favorite young players right now. I know it's personal for Fernando because he heard Christian Moore's name at the draft in Texas. Of course, it means a lot. And then for me, Christian Moore is just a hardworking player who, when he got drafted, said with a lot of confidence, I'm ready to work. He has put in the work. But I think there are some people that are saying that he got rushed. Yes, maybe. But everyone's getting rushed here. Nolan Shawnoa got rushed. Zach Neto got rushed. And those are our top, I would say, of the core four, the top two names right now, because you could easily say Logan O'Hoppe, but after last year, he's got to earn that number 2 spot right now, at least in this season. But I believe the youngsters are going to come in. And when I was seeing that the youngsters were doing a lot of positive things, that gave me hope, because there's going to be times where the veterans are going to get injured, and guess what? The young guns have to shoot in, literally.
Yeah, I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Christian Moore. For anyone who might be new, might be stumbling upon the podcast, I was there in Fort Worth for the draft, as Vince had said. So if you look up, Christian Moore draft day, you'll see me. As soon as they announce him, it shows me, hey, Angels number 1. So forever, him and I are married in that moment, right? Anytime anyone ever looks up that highlight, for better or worse, you're going to see my face too. That's not to take away from his moment, right? His achievement. But my point is, if this guy completely flames out, has a terrible major league career, when you look up Christian Moore draft day, it's still going to be my face. So, yeah, I mean, of course I'm cheering for the guy. And he's a proven winner, right? He was a winner in college, won with Tennessee. So with that being said, I love the winning attitude that the guy brings. I think Vince was alluding to that. I know a lot of people on this network like the fact that he's just a pure gamer. And, I guess you can say the same thing about Kyron Paris. Sure, he hasn't won prior to his Angels career, but he had a very successful spring training last year. The hype and the buzz was all about, hey, he worked with Aaron Judge's batting coach. And that's all they were talking about in the telecast. Hey, why am I blanking on his name? Wayne Randazzo was telling Gooby about the whole Aaron Judge thing. He said, hey, yeah, Wayne, I did know that. Look at that launch angle. And for the entire spring training last year, and the first, 2-ish, 3-ish weeks of last year, Kyron Paris was mashing. But the difference between AAA guys, 4A guys, and major leaguers are that major leaguers are able to adjust when the pitching starts to exploit your weaknesses. Kyron Paris hasn't proven that he can do that just yet, and Christian Moore hasn't either. Now, he did get injured last year, and then he got, I don't want to say he got hot, but he got lukewarm, and then he ended up getting shut down again. So I had a lot of hopes for Christian Moore going into this offseason. A lot of people were already busting out the Sharpie and saying, hey, you know what? I think you can put this guy in the lineup. But unfortunately, didn't have a great spring. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think he was batting like 175. I was right on the nose, batting 175, 233 on base percentage. And that's just not going to get it done at the major league level. So I wasn't surprised that Christian Moore got sent down. It's appropriate. This kid has to go down there. He has to earn his spot. I am kind of tired of what the organization did with Neto and Shanuel. Granted, it worked out with those guys, but they just kind of gave him the keys to the kingdom at shortstop and second base or at first base and said, here you go. The keys are yours, kid. And like I said, that hasn't backfired. We saw it a little bit with Logan O'Hoppe last year catching. That backfired a little bit. He did not have a good 2025. Now, he is having a great spring training. I think he leads the team in RBIs during the Cactus League so far. So I'm a little encouraged by what I'm seeing out of Logan O'Hoppe. But once again, Logan O'Hoppe has to prove that he is a consistent major league player. And that's just what we haven't seen out of Logan O'Hoppe yet, unfortunately. He has the work ethic. He has the mentality. The guy has a winning mentality. He wants to win. He's obviously committed to this organization. But that only gets you so far, Vince. Eventually, it's time to stop talking and start walking.
Yeah, exactly. And it really hurt last year seeing Logan O'Hoppe struggle. But I think there's going to be a lot more adjustments this season because of our new manager with Kurt Suzuki, because Kurt Suzuki, of course, is a catcher. And then there's a lot of people forget this part about baseball. The best managers are catchers. like figuratively speaking, with the exception of some other managers out there, of course, the manager up the 5 freeway. I mean, he has a group of superstars. Does he really have to do anything? I mean, I just throw it out there. But you look at guys like AJ Hinch, with the exception of the cheating scandal with the Astros, former catcher. Of course, probably the greatest Angels manager of all time, Mike Scioscia, was a former catcher. And there's Bruce Bochy was a catcher. There's a lot of managers out there that are catchers, that played catchers in their respective careers. So that gave me a little bit of confidence with Kurt Suzuki. Of course, the downside is the experience. Where is it? But that's the new generation of managers right now, is you're not going to see many managers with experience as managers, maybe assistant coaches. That makes total sense. Like hitting coaches, bench coaches. I'm surprised there's one certain bench coach that hasn't got a managerial shot. That's Dino Evil. I mean, I'm surprised nobody has been calling for his name, because he can be a manager. I'm surprised we didn't make a call for him, but that's a whole different story. So going back, Kurt Suzuki, I hope he gives a lot of technique and a lot of pointers to Logan O'Hoppe on how to be a productive, not great, but productive catcher, because Kurt Suzuki was an above average catcher. He was good. He was a good hitter for sure. And then defensive wise, he knew how to work with pitchers for sure. And when he was in Oakland, he had Barry Zito and Tim Hudson for like the first few seasons of his career. Of course, they were at the tail end of their careers, but Kurt Suzuki worked with them pretty well. And Oakland, of course, at the time in the 2000s when he was there, they were a hard team to beat, because you remember the 2000s, the golden age of Angels baseball. Who were the two teams that always battled for the West? It was us and Oakland. And sometimes Seattle would get in the mix, but Seattle would have I think only had 1 year where they really scared us, and that was in 2007. But after that, it started to dwindle a little bit. But at the end of the day, with the exception of Logan O'Hoppe, there's other guys out there, like, of course, Noah Shonowell. I hear that his approach is changing a little bit, but at the same time, one thing I really do like about with this coaching staff is they're not forcing him to be a power hitter, because first basemen are supposed to be power hitters. That is it's like the kind of the unwritten rule of baseball. Like, if you're a first baseman, you must hit for power. Not necessarily. Noah Shonowell is an exception. You can tell by the way he takes his swings. You can tell by how he hits and his approach. The guy's not trying to go yard every single time. That's why he's one of my personal favorite players right now. Like, if I wanted to right now, I'd buy a Shonowell jersey, because I like his approach. He doesn't care about trying to tank 400 and something feet into the right field pavilion, where the Halo Boys are going to be a lot this year for sure. So I had to throw it out there. Shout out to them.
You can find Vince out there a lot too.
Oh, I'll be there. Yeah, this is the year that you're going to see me at every event that they're going to be there. It's going to be a movie this year. Last year was the trailer. But with Noah Shonowell, the way he's approaching, I like a lot. I rather have him hit for average and get on base, because the guy behind him for sure this year is going to be Mike Trout. And then the guy behind Mike Trout, who knows what it's going to be? It's up in the air for anybody. Could be Yohan Moncada at this point.
I mean, it's
but you never know.
Dell, right?
Dell, that makes sense. I could see him as a 4, but I think if he hits in the 4 spot, he's going to not get a lot of pitches. He's going to get pitched around a lot, because we all know history. 4 hitters do not, and I repeat, do not get good pitches to hit, because pitchers work backwards on these guys. So you never know. I mean, hey, I could be wrong, but history shows it's the toughest spot to hit in the lineup is the 4 spot. Pitchers are going to work around you. And if Joe Adell hits in the 4 spot, I don't think he's going to be as effective. Maybe if he was a 6 hitter, he's going to get more pitches to hit. Maybe as a 5 as well. But I don't see him as a 4, at least right now. But you never know. It's going to be April pretty soon. Things change in the blink of an eye usually. If not, it takes time.
So, longtime listeners of this podcast network, I mean, this is year 5 now, and obviously Vince joined us along the way last year, which we're really appreciative about, and happy to have him on, of course. But longtime listeners know that Todd and I have never been launch angle guys. But with that being said, I'm happy that Nolan Shanuel is working on his power. Now, I have said ad nauseum over the last 2 years, I don't want Nolan Shanuel to be a power guy in terms of over the fence. I don't think he has over the fence power. I do think he'll, square one up. What? I think 15 a year is fair. He's a 15, 18 kind of cat, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want Nolan Shanuel to start going opposite field power. I want him to start going gap to gap. I want him to turn into a doubles machine. Because if he can add that element to his game and do it consistently, I think Nolan Shanuel has the ability to be one of the better hitters in Major League Baseball. He's proven that he's very good at barreling the ball. He's proven that his barrel rate is good. His barrel speed is one of the worst in the league. So if he can get that barrel speed up, even to be a moderate major leaguer, I think he's going to have an incredible year. Nolan Shanuel is already one of those guys that it kind of belongs in the Island of Misfit Toys. I've seen him on many underrated lists. When people like, hey, this guy's the most underrated first baseman, second baseman, blah, 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 blah. Nolan Shanuel is commonly on that list for first baseman. So if he can add a little bit of productive power, once again, not over the fence power, but gap to gap power, start to get balls lost in those power alleys in some of these stadiums, Nolan Shanuel is going to be a great major league hitter. He's already a good major league hitter. I'm just waiting for him to take that next step, and I do think he could do that while his average stays where it is, while his on-base percentage stays good, because he is a great on-base machine. He's got a great eye up there. He doesn't go chasing very often. Always has good productive at-bats. Hardly ever gets beat up there. And I don't mean beat in terms of striking out. That's going to happen. But he never looks foolish up there. When number 17 was here, how often would you see him swing out of his shoes and his helmet would fly off? I mean, you still see it if you're watching the Smurfs play. But, very seldom does Nolan Shanuel ever look foolish up there. I like watching him play. I'm with you, Vince. He's one of my favorite players on the team. Very scrappy hitter is the best way to put it. And I love that style of baseball, that scrappiness.
Well, let's not forget, he's also one of the hardest two-strike hitters to get out, because the approach, like I said, his approach is a lot different. He brings that old-school approach back to baseball, something that you don't see in today's game, obviously. You still see guys today that are trying to hit a home run with two strikes. Look, the old-school way you got to two strikes, who cares if you go yard? The important thing is don't strike out and get on base. That is what needs to be going through your mind. Well, the first thing is to get on base. That should be first on your mind, because psychologically, every time you say don't strike out, you don't hear don't, you hear strikeout. That's something I learned in college, but that's a different topic, and that takes a while to talk about. But at the same time, two strikes. That's another thing I love. I love watching him with two strikes because he widens his stance, he chokes up on the bat, and he just stays short. I don't think he's ever hit a home run with two strikes in his career, which just goes to show that he knows the importance of, with two strikes, to get on base. He knows the importance of that, and we need more of that in today's game. But chicks dig the long ball. That's the unfortunate part about this generation. I think the Angels can bring back that old school baseball because they have a squad that can do that. Shanuel is an example. Zach Neto is an example. Yeah, he can go yard, but he can also hit balls in the gap. Joe Adele could also mix that in. Mike Trout, I'm hoping, starts to manipulate more. He's at the age, he can still hit tanks, not going to lie. Mike Trout can still hit tanks. But I think he needs to utilize a little bit more that right now, hey, yeah, you can hit home runs, but you also can still hit doubles. You can still get to second base on a ball in the gap or a ball down the line. Heck, if you hit it good enough in a big stadium like Detroit or anywhere else, or like in a big ballpark, you could probably get to third base. You just hope it takes a certain care of him. In Houston, you hit that brick wall out in left center, you might be able to get to third base. But I would believe the old school hitting will come back this year. Now I'm a little skeptical about the pitching. I think a lot of people are. The biggest debate right now is who's going to be the fifth starter. It's between three guys. It's Alek Manoah, Ryan Johnson, and Jack Kahanowitz. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of listeners, and I know everybody on this network, they are not fans of Jack K. I know we all agree on that. If he's proven it, then I would say give him a shot. I don't know if he has yet. I still think he has to see major league hitters in order to earn that spot. Alek Manoah, he's been struggling now. Now, you could easily say, oh, but it's spring. It's like, dude, your fastball is flat. It's,
his velocity is also extremely down.
It's at 90. He's right now. He's kind of at the Jared Weaver right now. Only difference is Jared Weaver knew how to control. Okay, that's the big difference between Jared Weaver and Alek Manoah. Alek Manoah just has a flat fastball. He has to, if he wants to at least secure a spot in this rotation, he has to utilize off speed. If he has a slider, he's got to use it. He has a changeup, got to use it. Just any type of off speed, because that's when you get older. Once your velocity goes down, the only thing that can save your career is off speed. Perfect. I mean, to quote Major League, I forget what the old veteran pitcher's name is. Harris. There you go, Harris. He tells Ricky Vaughn, I ain't got a fastball like you, so I got to depend on curveballs. That's why he has all the creams and stuff to utilize his curveball a little bit better. Yeah, it's cheating, but still, you got to find a way, some way, somehow. But that's a perfect example of how it is at the major league level. So if Alek Manoah, if he is to get a spot, he's probably at best a long reliever, maybe a guy they're going to use after your pitcher goes 5 innings, or even if they have a short leash, bring in Manoah. I don't think he's earned that number 5 spot, but the question is who does?
So Alek Manoah, in my opinion, is definitely the no of that group. Ryan Johnson, still a young kid. He's 23 years old. In 5 games, he's got a 3.78 ERA. He's pitched 16 innings this spring. With that being said, I think Ryan Johnson should get a little bit more time to marinate and cook. I think he should start the year off in the minors, not because he's not having a solid spring. I think we can call it a solid spring. I want to have that feeling where the Angels have guys that we are excited about in the minor leagues who are just busting to get up. You know what I mean? Like the door is about to just get knocked down because you just can't deny that they are ready. When was the last time we legitimately had that piece that we're super excited about, who comes up, dominates, and we're like, hey, this is going to be our guy? I think Ryan Johnson could be a very good, I think number 3 in a rotation at the current moment is probably his ceiling. I don't see number 2 stuff. I don't see ace stuff. Could he develop into that guy? You never know, right? You never truly know. May I remind you guys, at some point, Jose Soriano was designated for assignment. We got him from another team. He was what people would call a nobody, right? He was a journeyman. Came over here. He was expected to be a bullpen piece. Ron Washington and company saw his stuff and said, no, this guy needs to be a starter. And he's been a very solid starter for the Angels. He's another guy that hasn't proven to be that guy yet. He's shown that he can be that guy, has very good stuff. Hey, you know what? He earned himself a big marquee in the front of Angel Stadium. His face is up there in one of those windows this year. Good for him. He got the opening day start. Good for him. I know Vince was a fan of the decision. It was we were talking about it in the Halos in the Infield Facebook Messenger group chat. I think everyone on our network wanted Jose Soriano. I can't think of a lot of guys who were like, yeah, Kikuchi. The only reason why I personally could have seen Kikuchi getting the job is if just to maybe light a fire underneath Jose Soriano's ass. Fortunately for us, Kurt Suzuki obviously thought he was ready. I think Soriano is ready. I do think he can be the guy at the front end of this rotation. I do think Ryan Johnson could join him there at some point this season. But I do want to see Ryan Johnson start the year off in the minors, preferably Double-A, in my opinion. I think pitching is a little easier in Double-A, and Triple-A obviously you have to deal with the elevation and stuff. So most teams and organizations leave their best pitching prospects in, low A, high A, or Double-A. If you're in the PCL, you typically don't want your best pitchers to go there. Messes with their head. The elevation's a little hard to adjust with. So with that being said, I think Jack Kohanowitz, in my opinion right now, is the number 5 starter. I know how terrible of a year he had, but he's had a pretty solid spring.
I think because we have a guru at pitching coach. I know there's a lot of people out there that are not fans of like the statements of, oh, Mike Maddox is going to change this pitching staff. I mean, I understand because where they're coming from, because it doesn't happen like overnight. I get it. It's like if you have, you have a great, I think he's one of the greats, a great pitching coach in Mike Maddox. But the thing is he great because he can change a team in a year, a pitching staff in a year, or because he can change a pitching staff in 2 to 5 years? That's the big difference. Because there's no such thing as coaches that can change somebody overnight in one season. There's no such thing. It takes 2 to 5 years to get to a certain point to be who you are at the major league level. If Mike Maddox because here's the issue. Kurt Suzuki is on a 1-year contract. Does that mean Mike Maddox is only here for 1 year? That's the issue.
Yes.
Or yes, eventually. So now you kind of have to. This is the year for the Angels to prove, at least, overall, yeah. Overall, this is the year to prove that you can compete, and that next year your young players are good enough and talented enough to compete as a playoff team, or at least be a push for the playoffs at one point, even as a wild card. If you do that this year, Kurt Suzuki stays, Mike Maddox stays. So it all comes down to that basically. What can Mike Maddox do? Can he get this future pitching staff rolling? Not just this season. Can he build a future? I think he's pushing for that. There's no way he's gonna do this and like, okay, I'm gonna do this 1 year and then I'm gonna dip. No, because like it didn't happen in Texas. Now maybe that was an exception because Texas, like they were kind of the biggest, probably one and done in recent baseball success, because look what happened. They went in 2023, 24 and 25. They missed the playoffs. How did that happen? We never know. Well, injuries is part of the reason. A lot of guys got hurt. That's what affected it. And they even like their pitching. Nathan Eovaldi got hurt. Jacob deGrom got hurt. Jacob deGrom actually he wasn't even on the playoff roster because he was out for the year. So I do feel confident in Mike Maddox. Only thing is, I don't think it's going to happen in 1 year. This is going to take time for sure.
Yeah, the Angels, and the last thing I'll say before we start switching the topic here, Angels are definitely at the point where they need to figure out what they're going to do here. As of right now, we haven't seen the Angels spend any big money. Now, the speculation is once the Rendon contract is off the books, which was supposed to be after this season, of course, there was a restructuring in the contract. We still don't know the full details. But honestly, I think they should have just taken the grenade. Because my whole thing was like, oh, great, they're going to restructure the contract. Maybe they can go out there and get some pieces that are going to help this team for the next 2 or 3 years. The Angels didn't do that. So in the most Angels fashion, they announced, hey, we're going to restructure the Rendon contract. All of Angels fandom was like, hell yeah, here we go, restructuring the contract. Let's go get blah, 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 blah. Well, none of that happened. So you think to yourself, man, you should have just taken the hit. Just take the hit instead of now taking whatever you're going to take in 2026 and extending it to whatever, 2032, for example. Hopefully that's not the case. But anyway, the speculation was that after the Rendon contract was off the books, then the Angels would start looking long and hard at extending guys like Shanuel Ohapi and Neto. Neto is at the top of every Angels fan's list, right? And in my opinion, I think after you lock Neto, I would say maybe like a 3 to 5 year contract. Let's not go crazy. Because, yeah, he's had a good, solid start to his career, but he also has never had a fully healthy season. And with that being said, I think it's only fair to the kid to give him a 3 to 5 year deal. So let's just say those 3 or 5 years are good to him and good to us. Give the kid an opportunity to potentially sign elsewhere after he's already, in theory, gotten the Angels to the playoffs. And if the Angels are a playoff team in that 3 to 5 year stretch, then great. Maybe he wants to stay here anyway. Then you could think about another extension. Personally, I hate these 10, 15-year contracts because very seldom do they ever work out for the team signing that contract. Maybe they do in the beginning because, look, I hate to bring up number 17 again. I know he's our big, ugly X. But at the end of the day, no matter which way you slice it or dice it, if you go up to a Dodgers fan in 10 years, let's just say they make the playoffs for the next 3 years and starting in, what would that be, like 2029 or so? They never make the playoffs again for like Ohtani's last, gosh, what would that be, Vince? Like 8 years of his contract? If you go up to a Dodgers fan and say, hey, you won 2 World Series, made the playoffs like 5 times. Was that Ohtani's, Betts, Freeman, everyone's contract worth it? They're going to say yes, of course. But how many other teams have signed long-term deals like that with the superstar and had it pan out? I'm looking at you, Mets. I'm looking at you, Padres. It hasn't worked out yet. I mean, is there a chance that the Juan Soto deal works out for the Mets? Sure. Is there a deal the Tatis deal works out for the Padres? Yes, there's a chance, but it hasn't panned out yet. So we'll see what happens with some of these young cats now that Rendon's, the bulk of his contract should be behind us after the season. I'm hoping it leads to guys like Neto, Soriano, Shanuel getting deals. But time will tell. You definitely got to figure out what you're going to do with these guys soon, though, because if the Angels have another horrendous year and we're going into 2027, hopefully there's no lockout. And if it is, hopefully it's a short one like it was in 2021. But hopefully we have a little bit of a better idea of what we're doing, because if it's the same song and dance in 2027, you only have Neto for what, like 2 more years after that? At that point, guys, it might be time to consider trading the guy for prospects, because I don't want that, what happened to Ohtani, to happen again, where we're sitting on our hands and knees waiting for the Angels to do something. He walks away, gets paid somewhere else, and we're left with a middle finger. That's what I don't want for our Angels. I want Neto to stay. Hopefully they can give him an extension. In my opinion, it should have happened already. But, whatever. I think Vince and I would make better general managers. But hey, that's just me. Maybe I'm biased. Vince, let's talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic. So the World Baseball Classic's behind us. I want to keep this short. I know some people are kind of over it. You know what I mean? Hey, that was on Tuesday. It's dead and gone. Vince, let me start off with this. Did you enjoy this year's World Baseball Classic?
I enjoy it every single year, or every event that we have, every 3 years, however long we have to wait, because it's the closest that we get to an Olympic feel for the sport. Because you got to remember, the baseball is out of the Olympics in 12 and 16 and in 24. The last time we had Olympic baseball was in 2021. Well, it was considered the 2020 games, but because of the pandemic, we had to push it a year to 21. And we get a silver medal against Japan. And then we lose to Japan again in 23 for the WBC. So I enjoy the WBC a lot because, like I said, it's the closest we get to an Olympic feel in baseball perspective. The good thing is in 2028, when the Olympics come to Los Angeles, we are going to have baseball. Games are going to be played at Dodger Stadium. I don't know if Angel Stadium is going to have any. It'd be nice, but it's still, I don't know anything yet, but I know for sure Dodger Stadium is 100% in on Olympic Games. So, yeah, I enjoy every moment of it. I do wish that there was a certain player. I think we all wish there was a certain player that was on Team USA that probably could have added some more spark to the team, because I want to quote Dominic, who was on this network here and there. He made a good point. This USA team was really flat and very dry. The 2023 team, there was a lot of flame in that one. Because think about who was on that team. It was Mike Trout, of course. You had Bryce Harper on that team. Or not Bryce Harper, I'm sorry. Trey Turner. Kyle Schwarber was on that team. Jeff McNeil. Mookie Betts. We had dogs like that. And the saying of that USA team was all in. And that team was all in. Now, can you imagine if we did have Harper in the lineup and we had Judge? Can you imagine having Trout in center, Judge in right, Harper at first, and then a Turner again at short? Oh my goodness! Like, it would have. I think we probably could have beat Japan in that championship game for sure. But yeah, what Dom said, in our group chat, he had a lot of good points. The USA was dry, but also MLB probably hurt us because of the whole restrictions that a lot of teams are coming in saying, don't throw our guy because of this. You know, with the whole Tarek Skubal dilemma, the soap opera that was going on there, it just made everything worse. With the more details you hear from that, the worse it just gets. You got Paul Skeens in there who reps his country more than anybody in Major League Baseball. It just hurt to see that loss against Venezuela. But if you look at both dugouts and both tones of the team, Venezuela looked like they wanted it more than we did. And it's unfortunate to say that. I hope that in 2029, it's a little bit better. It's obviously going to be a new generation of players that are going to be on that team. Hey, maybe Logan O'Hoppe will mix in and be on Team USA. Maybe Noah Shawano will also get a shot too.
I really want to see Adele in it this year. Maybe
Christian Moore, because it could also be in the mix as well. Adele also, I'm surprised he didn't consider it. But yeah, there's a lot of things. One side note too, to quote Todd, they were swinging for the fences, hence all the pop-ups. Yeah, I remember watching the games like, why so many pop-ups? But it didn't click until Todd said something like, you can't swing for the fences in the championship game. Championship games, you got to get on base. The runs are going to happen. You don't need to smoke a ball every single time. You don't need the home run. Runs are going to come if you do your part and just get on base. It's important. But it didn't happen in that game, in the championship.
Okay, so I completely agree with you. I was saying it all tournament long. And this is a hot take show. So I'm tired of the rhetoric that if you weren't cheering for the U.S., you hate America. I saw that tons of times. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy if that's your take. You're wrong. That's how it is, right? I mean, you should be able to cheer for whatever country you want. That's just that's the name of the game, right? So the U.S. team, I absolutely agree with you. There was no sauce. There was no aura. And for anyone who's like, well, that's not important. Clearly it is. Because I'll give it to you. The Dominican Republic team was out here celebrating pop-ups. Great, whatever. But they were having fun. At the end of the day, these players aren't getting paid much for this tournament. I think I saw, what is it? On average, most players just for playing get about $50,000. For you and I, $50,000, hey, I mean, that's not life-changing money, of course. But, hey, I mean, that's not a bad chunk of change for 2 weeks, potentially. I mean, 2 weeks if all goes well, there's a very good chance you're only playing for a week. So $50,000 for a week's work, hey, that's not bad at all. But for most of these guys, for Bryce Harper, think he gives a damn about $50,000? No. Some of these guys from the Czech Republic who, or Team Brazil, who respectfully to those teams are absolutely at the bottom of the totem pole here. Maybe $50,000 is a difference for them. Or that 17-year-old kid who is pitching for Brazil. Hey, man, $50,000. This guy's going to have a great prom night. But the point is, that's not going to attract a lot of guys to play for Team USA, right? That's why you have a situation like Tarek Skubal. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm a genius or a jackass. But Tarek Skubal, lost respect for that guy, man. If you're going to only pitch in one game, so be it. But did you have to burn your one game, let alone your 4 innings against Great Britain? Really? You couldn't have given us a quarterfinal game because we didn't need Skubal or Skeens to get out of the pool play. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Mark DeRosa already thought they had it in the bag. That's another thing, Vince. Mark DeRosa. I better never see this man near a major league clubhouse. Okay? I think he's a terrible manager. Back-to-back, I almost said World Series, back-to-back World Baseball Classics. I think he's proven that he just doesn't have the goods to get it done. If Mark DeRosa was the manager of the Angels, I'd be pissed. Not a winner. And you want to know why he's not a winner, Vince? The manager of Venezuela got 3 texts from 3 organizations saying, hey, I don't want my pitcher pitching back-to-back days, right? Ronald Acuna took to Twitter to say, hey, we're not playing for those organizations. We're playing for the country of Venezuela. So basically, he gave him the theoretical middle finger. I think Mark DeRosa should have done the same thing. Hey, man, we're trying to bring a championship for the entire United States. We're trying to uplift this country. There's a lot going on in the United States right now. There's a lot going on in Venezuela. Really, there's a lot going on around the world right now. In the grand scheme of things, it's a trophy. But sports bring people together, right? That's the beauty of sports. Guys, if there was no community aspect in sports, you wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be reading your comments. We wouldn't be participating with you guys on social media. You're here for the community. And that's the whole point of sports. I think Mark DeRosa really fumbled the bag, Vince. At the end of the day, it's a championship game. If this was pool play, maybe it'd make a little bit more sense. I understand. But I'm sorry. If it's the semifinals or the championship game, I think it's all hands on deck. If you got bullets in the tube, you're going to use them. If any of you guys play, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto, and you're doing a mission, are you going to stop using your bullets? No, you're going to use whatever you got, right? Because you got to handle the task at hand. You'll deal with the rest later. Do you want these guys to get hurt? Of course not. Am I cheering for guys to get hurt? Of course not. But is Mason Miller throwing 20 pitches in a tie game in the 9th inning going to give this guy Tommy John? Statistically, probably not. Now, I understand if we're in August and you're a Padres fan and you get the bad news that Mason Miller is going to get Tommy John surgery, and Padres fans, I'm knocking on wood for you. I don't know if you can hear that, Padres fans. I'm not cheering for it. But naturally, yeah, I get it. Your mind's going to start to wander to, well, maybe if he didn't throw those 20 pitches in the World Baseball Classic, he wouldn't have gotten hurt. But you can't live your life like that, Vince. You got to play all hands on deck. Am I crazy?
No, I mean, I get the point, though, because it's like, what was the point of having those big stars if you're not going to use them in championship situations? Like, they're there for a reason. All right. Mike Trout was there for a reason. So he can get an opportunity to have a championship feel. You know, Jaron Judge was there for a reason this past year. Bryce Harper was there for a reason. Because and the another thing I noticed too, a lot of these guys on this USA team, how many of them have won something? The only guy I can name, Will Smith. Will Smith's got 3 championship rings with the Dodgers. But look at the rest of the roster. Cal Raleigh never tasted the World Series. Bryce Harper tasted the World Series. Did he win it? No, but he has a taste of it. Kyle Schwarber, World Championship. So, yeah, 2 guys, 2 big names that have won on that roster. The rest of the guys, they either had a taste of the playoffs, haven't tasted it, or, you know, like things like that. Julio, like
Alex Bregman.
Alex Bregman has championships. Yeah, he's got 2. Well, one with an asterisk, but we all know that. We like to throw things. We have to. It's mainly me, but, you know, at the end of the day,
Yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of even deep playoff runs on this roster. I mean,
Exactly.
some champions, but yeah, I mean Matthew Boyd.
But you know what?
He was a Tiger.
It actually makes sense why you see those guys play for Team USA, because they don't get the experience, or they haven't got the experience with their organizations. So they want to have that championship feel. And it's unfortunate to say, it's kind of like the Kevin Durant thing, where it's just like you jump ship because you want to know what winning feels like because you didn't get it here. And it's like, I'll never forget the comment that Mike Trout says, like, is this what the World Series feels like? He asked Mookie Betts that, like, is this what it feels like? And Mookie said, oh, yeah, this is exactly what the World Series feels like. And it kind of is a stab to the heart as an Angels fan, but he's right. Because
I don't know, man. I think the World Baseball Classic, I think the narrative's kind of dead. I think it's better than the World Series. Because here's the thing. You're not getting that crazy environment in the World Series.
No, not at all. It's totally different. I think because you just made a good point. Sports brings people together. Perfect example, USA Hockey. I met people who never watch hockey, not seen a single puck drop, not seen a single goal scored, not seen a single goalie glove save. But for one day, they loved hockey because the United States of America was facing Canada. Just for one day. And sure enough, we won the gold medal. And I kid you not, once that happened, don't be surprised. In this next generation of Americans, young hockey players are going to skyrocket. There's going to be a big spike.
Yeah, I think hockey is starting to become an American sport slowly but surely, because this isn't the first time they've beaten Canada. You know what I mean? During the World Juniors, the U.S. is starting to really, really get competitive, and they're really starting to go toe-to-toe with Canada. So to your point with that, look, Todd and I said on the World Baseball Classic pre-show, if America didn't win, it's not necessarily the end of the world, and the biggest reason for that is because the point of this tournament is to grow the game of baseball, right? Make it a bigger thing internationally. I don't know if any of you guys watched some of the other games, and if you didn't, what were you doing? The U.S. wasn't the only team in there. But what about all those little kids who are in Brazil, who watch the Brazilian national team put up a fight against the U.S.? And hey, I don't care what you say. There was a little while where every person cheering for the U.S. was sweating just a little bit with Team Brazil because they were in it, man. They were right there until the very end. And my point, look at Chinese Taipei. I don't know if you watched the footage and the replay of when they beat Korea, and the players were on the field crying. The announcers were crying. That's the beauty in sports. If you really watched the World Baseball Classic this year and you still think baseball's boring, I'm running out of cards to show you. Go watch the Savannah Bananas or something. This World Baseball Classic was incredible. It reminded me how fun it is to watch baseball. Look, I'm an Angels fan through and through, man. You guys know that. There's a reason I've been on this network for so long. It isn't because we're talking about winning baseball. It's because I love the community. It's because I love the team. And it's because I've made some good friends on the network and in the organization. So, but I'll admit this. Sometimes it is really hard to watch Angels games. There's some times where it's like, I feel like the game's just kind of on in the background. And before you guys come at me, come on, we're all guilty of this. You know what I mean? Like I'm making dinner or whatever. Next thing you know, I start doing other things. It's like 6 innings of the game's over. The Angels are losing like 5-0. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go to bed. But, man, during the World Baseball Classic, Vince, for almost every game I watched, I was glued to the TV, man. You couldn't get me off the TV. I can say it now because we're done. The drive's over. We drove down to Houston for Mexico versus Great Britain. And then we had to drive to El Paso, which is like a 9-hour drive. We drove, I think, about 5.5 hours, stayed in a town called Ozona, something like that. And I was watching the World Baseball Classic the entire time while driving. I had it on the mount, and there to El Paso, back home, I was watching the World Baseball Classic, just like 5-6 different games. And man, oh man, I was glued the entire time. What a great tournament. So good for baseball. Reminds me of everything beautiful about this sport. Congratulations to all the countries out there. The viewership was off the charts. The ticket sales were through the roof. I think the Dominican Republic versus the U.S. is the most watched baseball game of all time, if I saw correctly. Yeah, man, the ratings were great. They were there. I don't give Rob Manfred a lot of credit because I don't like the guy, but I will say, Rob Manfred, good job. Great tournament. I can't wait for the next one. And there's speculation that the next one's going to be played in July. Just saw a tweet right now about it. Rob Manfred loves the idea of having the tournament in July, having the players take about 2 weeks off. I love it too.
I think it would be a lot better because summertime, it gives the kids more opportunities to be able to go to the games, because in March it's tough. Everyone's in school, and then, I mean, there's some spring break, but not everybody has the same spring break. I think July would be nice. The weather is a little bit better. Unfortunately, if you're in Miami or Texas, good luck. But the good thing is there's domes. Arizona, good luck as well, because those are the 3 stadiums that have retractable roofs. So that's the only downside that you got to deal with. But I like I said, baseball, it's a growing sport. I think this WBC for sure is going to bring a new generation of players in other countries. In the U.S., though, we do it because it is an American sport. It is big, but the whole argument of like baseball is dying in the young community. A lot of reasons is because in football and basketball, they're get-rich quick sports, which is why more kids are going into that, basically. But for baseball, I think, in my opinion, if USA wins the gold medal in 2028 here in LA, I think you're going to get just like hockey, you're going to get a big spike in young generational players. But enough of that, because we still got one more topic that we got to hit. And we're kind of on a time limit because I got a fantasy draft that's going to be in about an hour. So we'll be as quick as we can. I know some of you are probably eating dinner right now, or maybe you're about to. But don't worry, we're going to wrap it up just in a bit because it's time for the giddy up, hot take, hoedown. It is time.
Vince, you read it this time.
Yeah, because it was my idea, of course. The Angels will not finish in last place. It's kind of hard for me to say this because we had our predictions. If you go back to the Instagram on the Halos in the Infield Instagram, we all had our predictions. I would say 90% of us said the Angels were in last place. Guilty. The guy next to me is guilty too.
Was Todd the only one that said third place?
Yeah.
he maybe he partook in the ganja that day or something.
Probably. Yeah. So I'll make this brief. It's obvious to say last play they will finish last because this is not. It's just on paper. It doesn't look like a good team on paper. However, why I think they would sneak their way out of the cellar and maybe finish fourth, at best third, like Todd said, but on average fourth. This is when I go back to the conversation of the young players. When the young players get their opportunities, which you're going to see a lot of them probably in June, July, because you want to wait a little longer for rookies to get called up because of the year control, because for the contract control. So, like, if you see guys like Bremer or Klassen, I think I said his name right, or Klassen, the other. Okay, yeah. So those two, which are our big top pitching prospects, don't be surprised if those two get called up in June or July because of the control. So we can have them for that extra year. They're not going to be April call-ups. They're not going to be May call-ups. June at best, July at the latest, I would say, or better yet, September. But you never know because everybody's different, and the Angels organization is so unpredictable. when it comes to prospects getting called up. I think with the young talent that we have, if they find a spark and a little bit of a fire, they can win games. They win those like meaningless games maybe in like June or July, or they go on a little bit of a streak that would get them out of the cellar. So with the roster we have now, it's a last place team. But I think once again, with call-ups and AAA, maybe some of the AA guys, and the baby Angels, then that most likely is a fourth place finishing team.
All right, so I don't want to dive too much into the roster because we kind of did that a lot with the first segment. But I do want to piggyback off of what you'd said. I think the ceiling for this team could be a third place finish. So, I was making fun of Todd, but that's the ceiling. That's everything goes well. That's Drew Pomerantz is a good reliever out of the bullpen. Who's probably going to make this bullpen? Hunter Strickland, that's Jordan Romano, that's Kirby Yates, all of those guys firing in all cylinders. That's Ben Joyce coming back healthy, being good. Soriano, Kikuchi, maybe eventually Ryan Johnson, George Clausen, Sam Alderghetti. Maybe some of these young baby Angels come up, start to make immediate impacts. Hell, maybe Kikuchi makes another all-star game, gets traded at the deadline for, half a year of control and all of next year. So maybe you can get a couple of other pieces to help out this team because there's just so much going well with the starting rotation. That's this going well. This going well is the Angels are a third place team. That's Zach Neto is maybe a 20 home run, 30 stolen base kind of cat. Maybe Joe Adell's a 30 for 30 guy. Maybe that's a preview for another episode. My point is, if all these guys take steps forward, which at some point this team needs to do, Vince, if these young guys aren't taking steps forward and they're the same team they were last year, or God forbid, the year before that, why are we still doing this? At some point, you need to be realistic. At some point, you need to look at your roster and say, Neto, Ohapi, Shanuel, Soriano, it's not working, guys. We got to let you go. We got to start from scratch. That's the tough part about being where the Angels are now. They never did a hardcore rebuild. They've done this soft rebuild that they've been doing the last 10 years. They haven't committed to anything. So at some point, you need to commit one way or the other. Are you going to write it out? Are you going to double down and start signing these guys long-term? Are you going to double down and maybe trade away a couple pieces? Look at, even in Moneyball, we reference that movie a lot. Brad Pitt, why am I blanking on his name? Billy Bean picks up the phone and he starts to trade guys away, right? And then Jonah Hill's character is like, hey, what are you doing? And Willie Bean says, shaking things up. At some point, you got to shake things up. So are the Angels going to stand pat? Is this are these the pieces to the puzzle? You got to figure that out. At some point, there has to be a direction. I'm all for a youth movement. I know a lot of you guys in the comments, I know a lot of fans of this network, thank you for your support, are a fan of the let the kids play movement. I am here for it. But at some point, the kids actually have to start playing well. You can't just let the kids play forever. The first couple of years, just go out there and get better. But at some point, you got to prove you can do this at the major league level. You got to prove you as a team can take the next step. So like I said, their ceiling is third place. That's this going well. That's everything firing in all cylinders. And if the Angels finish a third place team, man, oh man, Vince, get ready, because I think 2027, assuming there's no lockout, could be a lot of fun. That's when maybe we do have a decent offseason. Maybe we do make a couple of trades or a couple of signings that are actually designed to patch up some holes. But Vince, after seeing the spring training we have, I don't think so. After seeing some of these pieces or some of these guys that were fringe guys, the Jose Series of the world, the what's his name, Perazzas of the world, not having the best springs makes me kind of worried, Vince. Makes me think, you know what? I think, pew pew to my head, I got to make a decision right now. or the bad guys are going to get me. Unfortunately, I think this is a fifth-place team currently. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I'm praying to the baseball gods that I'm wrong again because, boy, oh boy, do I want to see some meaningful baseball down the stretch.
Yeah, we all do. And I actually was going to say, to quote, you said that it's a soft rebuild. Honestly, it's not even a rebuild. You know what I call this? A remodel. Because it's like
a remodel that you only had like $1,000 for.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the outside of the house looks nice. So like you remodel you remodel the inside of the house, but your outside still looks like you didn't paint it, you didn't, seal the holes or something. And it's like
outside of the house looks like a Downey home.
That's literally what it looks like. Yeah. So this organization is kind of looking like a remodeled house. Like the kitchen's done, the dining room's done, the living room's done. Yeah, but did you fix the outside, the foundation? No. It's like, well, you should have. You need a foundation somewhere. So we hope for the best. Hey, next week, I am ready for next week to say 3 words: baseball is back. And those are my 3 favorite words that I look forward to springtime. And hey, spring came early because the weather's warming up, and I love when the weather warms up because it's short sleeve season, it's straw hat season. I'm wearing the straw hat today. I know it's still technically felt season, but come Easter, you're gonna see this hat more often at the games. And speaking of the games and myself, go ahead and follow me at Angels_Cowboy. All of our socials, of course, the Heedy Network at Halos_in_the_Infield. And of course, follow the Lone Star Halo himself, Fernando. It's just Lone Star Halo all together. You're going to see, most likely you'll see me a lot. My plan is to go to every single Tuesday home game this season because the Halo boys were calling me and saying, hey, how are your Tuesdays looking? And I said, if I can work around
free.
For you guys, it's free. So I will be working around my schedule for sure, making sure those Tuesdays are wide open. Like I said earlier in the show, last year was the trailer. This year is the movie. I'm going to make sure there's going to be, you know what? I'm going to do more content this year. In fact, what I'm planning on doing is every moment we have with the Halo boys, I'm going to have my camera ready. Maybe I'll get some meta glasses just to record what. Ooh. Yeah, it's in the works. But yeah, I will be doing more of that. I'll also be doing more of my trivia shows because people are asking for those. Like, can we get more rapid fire Cowboy questions? Don't worry, it's getting there. Of course, Stagecoach is going to be coming up soon. There's a lot going on in April, and it's I can't wait. I just can't wait. Here we go.
I got to give you this, Vince. So there is Brandon Nimmo obviously just got traded to the Texas Rangers. I was looking through the Rangers promotions because I live like 20 minutes from the stadium, so I do go to quite a bit Rangers games. Obviously, I go to almost every Angels game there. I think I only missed one last year, but they have a Brandon Nimmo bull riding bobblehead, and I saw that and I immediately thought about you. I was like, man, oh man. Could you imagine if they had like something fun, like a Zach Neto bull riding bobblehead or something like that? Especially for like Country Weekend. That's such a layup. They have Country Weekend, folks.
Not
Angels
anymore.
Run off it. No, not anymore, damn it.
Yeah, the Angels don't do it anymore, unfortunately.
They did last year, right?
No, 2 years ago. Last year was the first year they didn't do it.
Okay, all right. Well, they were doing Country Weekends. Obviously, I don't live out there anymore, guys, so I don't get it. Pay as much attention to the promotions.
No, you would know if it was Country Weekend because I would have said something.
That's fair.
I would have done a whole video about it and a whole everything. So
that's fair. So let me tell you. Let's close with this last question I got for you, Vince. So opening day is a week from today. Give me what you think roughly Jose Soriano's line will be on opening day. How many innings pitched? How many earned runs and how many Ks?
6 innings, 2 earned runs, and 7 Ks.
Okay, I think he does 6 innings, 7 Ks, and I think 4 runs, only 3 of them's earned. I think it's going to be something like that. Because it is opening day, so you know what I mean? You're still going to be getting the kinks out. But I will say this. I do think the Angels will win. It's going to be like – I think it's going to be like 8-6 or something like that. I think it's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, and then you got to remember the nerves are going to kick in probably a little bit because this is his first opening day start, and the kid comes out in you, but I think he'll figure it out. If anything, he might have a rough first inning, but he'll figure his way out because
that's what I was going to say. I think like three earned runs in the first inning, but I think he settles down.
Yeah, because he's had a lot of those starts. So I'm hoping for the best. I think Mike Trout has another opening day home run. That's another bold prediction. And so I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, I was trying to go to Houston this year. Not going to happen. But I do hope one day I will make a trip to Arlington because I want to see the new stadium. And I also want to experience the stockyards in Fort Worth because I want to go dancing. If you know me by now.
Am I invited?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll make a weekend or a week out of it. I'll save up on vacation days.
There you go. Catch Vince and I at Billy Bob's, the world's largest honky tonk.
There you go.
But last thing I'll leave you guys with 714 tickets. Use code HITI HITI at checkout off their already good rates. The price you see is the price you pay. There's no hidden fees like some of the other guys. But remember, HITI gets you 10% off. That works for more than just Angels tickets. I've used it for wrestling events. I know a lot of people here use it for Ducks events too. You can use it for football. I use it for World Baseball Classic tickets. So chances are, if you want a ticket, 714 tickets has you covered. And not only do you get 10% off, you get 5% back in future purchases. Guys, you're not going to beat that. It's one of the only codes out there you can use again and again and again. Just like a butter park gigolo, it keeps on going. So use and abuse that code. We appreciate it. Mezzo's Wings, they've always got some good stuff going on over there. Give them a follow. And, of course, Noble Ale Works. Mentioned Halos in the Infield for drink specials. And we could have some exciting stuff coming with Noble soon. Don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to share just yet. But you could be drinking some fun brewskis in the future, courtesy of Halos in the Infield. On behalf of all of us here at Halos in the Infield, give us a follow, give us a 5-star review, give us a subscribe, hit the like button. Follow Vince at Angels_Cowboy, myself at the Lone Star Halo. And we'll see you guys next time. So long, folks.
Y'all be good now, you hear?
Thank you all for watching the Halos in the Infield podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe on your way out.